When things start to change in your life, it's so freeing. I didn't know when they said it feels like a weight is being lifted off of you. It truly feels like a weight is being lifted off of you. Like you can finally breathe. I am so ready to change the world or die trying. You know, I have finally gotten to a point where I just want the world to be as happy as I am, or at least what I'm trying to be. Because, I'm not always happy. But I do know that I can be happy more often for longer durations. And that's worth it to me. Worth it to be myself, and worth it to not let my fears get in my way, and not let what people say about me get in my way. Understanding that I don't know everything, don't need to know everything. But I'm also the type to want to know a lot of things, just beginner's knowledge. I like to know basic information about a lot of different topics. I also am super into languages, mostly because I think cultures are very interesting. I'm always wrapped up in Asian culture. And significantly more, but that's probably the main one I go to right now. I feel like if I knew more, I'd be able to go on to another culture. Just that's how I am. I just need to know the bare basics, or enough to plan, I guess, to know how to get things done. I don't want to know everything. I just want to know enough so that I can assign someone else to do it, or let someone else do it. Give them room, give them opportunity to grow. It doesn't have to be at my benefit. It just really doesn't matter. I'm going to die one day anyways. So all that cash in your bank account, little cash in your bank account, negative cash in your bank account, you die. I'm not saying to go run a checkup. I'm just saying find balance so that it's all worth it. And it's hard. It's hard. A lot harder than you'd imagine. And you'll realize if you start to do it, when you start to do it. Because right now, there's a ton of things holding you back. Which is why I just am not for discrimination, because your age can hold you back. And I don't really mean hold you back. It's just the way we treat each other, depending on what we feel like the box they should fit in. That sort of keeps kicking you down and pushing you down. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength and a lot of bravery to push back and say, no, like, that's not actually true. It's not actually true that a certain group of people is only that type of person. We're all different. I can't assume every Asian household is the same. No more can I assume every Jamaican household is the same. There's similarities, yes, for sure. Which makes it easier to ask questions and not assume. But we as human beings, we tend to assume and don't ask the question. And ultimately, that can end up in some pain, some hurt. Someone putting you in a box and you don't really feel like you fit in to that box. And not really knowing what to do with your feelings and trying to find some happiness in it all, but life is still going. And that's okay. Hopefully, you'll get better. The goal is that you'll get better at loving yourself, get better at taking care of yourself, get better at knowing what makes you happy so that you can see the red flags and say, that's the boundary. I don't want to be triggered. I'm just going to walk away. Or, this is how I want to handle these types of situations, because you're going to continue to go through them. They don't stop just because you got a certain job, just because you make a certain amount of money, just because you live in a certain house, just because you you drive a certain car. It doesn't matter. You have to do what makes you happy. You have to find your balance and not in comparison to other people. I promise you there is enough space in the world for all of us to do our passions and be happy. I promise you. It's just we all need to get outside of that box of thinking, I need a house and a car and then a mansion and some NASCAR fast car. Do what makes you happy. Truly happy. Because you're worth it. If you don't like the relationship you're in, regardless of who it is, it could be your parents. If you don't like the relationship with them, put some distance in between you as soon as possible, as much as possible. Figure out what makes you happy and then come back, because then you'll be able to block their noise out, and you might even be able to help teach them a better way of treating you, because it's worth it in the end. I don't have kids myself, but I hear all parents want their kids to be happy. It's just they push their ideas on them, what they think happiness looks like. And that's just not the case. So I don't really want to discriminate as much. And I'm just going to say as much because I have to start somewhere. But age, gender, religion, fitness, how fit you are, attractiveness, height, we just write certain people off. And we put them in this box, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't limit them. If someone's disabled, we shouldn't limit them. If someone has a learning disability, we shouldn't limit them. If someone's on the spectrum, we shouldn't limit them. There's enough space in the world for all of us, I promise. All of us have a certain amount of happiness that we need, and there's just little things that we could change in our lives that would bring so much more happiness to us. I know for me, I would rather live on the road or something similar to it, a tiny home or something like that. It doesn't mean I'll end up there. It just means I'd rather. If my family would prefer something else, I'd compromise. And it's things like that that you have to remember when you say statements like that, because you can stick hold to them for no reason, just because you made this random decision around this time and you've been sticking on to it. It's okay. Like, you can change, and you can compromise for the ones that you love. So I hope you do. In the meantime, I love you. I believe in you. Have a happy day and go defund the police. Thanks.